Hey guys, welcome to Bar Z. My name is Stan, and I'd like to welcome you to week update number 21. This is my 21st weekly update, and kind of a tradition is to just put in a mixed bag. So this is our Christmas special, and if you're interested in machining and want to see machining, you can stop this video right here because we don't have any. But it is winter time. It's gotten colder around here. You might hear that hissing noise in the background. That is a propane heater heating some parts of my shop with proper ventilation. So it's just me and the carbon monoxide hanging out here in the shop on a cold winter morning. But that brings me to my next point, that winter is here, including Southern California. And that means closed shops and closed windows and doors. I want you guys to be careful in an enclosed environment, working with various chemicals and things you use around the shop with a closed up shop, and use proper ventilation. Even if you're cold, put on a coat, put on another sweater, whatever, and don't be breathing a bunch of acetone vapors or solvents or whatever you guys are using in your shops. Just use your head and don't get crazy with it, especially basement guys. I don't know how your wives tolerate it with you using chemicals down in the basement and that smell coming up into the house. But we've got something that can help, and you know, Randy Richards kind of pointed this out. He said that the Anchor Lube he's using, he didn't see any real benefits electrically. You know, he did some tests on it electrically to see if he could grab a reading off the electrical loads, but he did hit that point pretty hard. No odor. So in a closed environment, in a closed up shop where, you know, things are getting kind of chilly, the Anchor Lube would be superior just for that reason. Even if it performs equally to an oil-based product, just the fact that you're not stinking up the shop and breathing all that stuff in has a huge impact. And actually, my wife has noticed a difference. When I come in the house, she says I don't smell like oil anymore. So Anchor Lube can save your marriage. Whoa, think about that for a minute. Okay, so thanks to Randy for those extensive tests. He did 2 complete videos on that. Both of them were from an electrical point of view. And Randy, I think you got a free bottle coming at you because of that. Thanks for all that. I'm sure the Anchor Chemical folks appreciate that too. Next up, I've been having some email conversations with Dan Bentler. And he said, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could install a thermocouple in a high-speed steel tool, so we could check temperatures on the actual tooling. And I thought, yeah, that's an awesome idea. How the hell am I going to get a hole through a chunk of high-speed steel through a tool blank? EDM, you know, if we can. I know there's EDM guys out there, and maybe one of you EDM guys are watching. If you can get a very small, maybe like a 3/16 hole through a piece of high-speed steel tooling, whether it be anywhere between 3/8 and 1/2 inch will work. Shoot me an email. I'd like to know what the cost on that would be for a tool blank with a hole running parallel with the tool. And what we want to do is we want to install a thermocouple inside the tool with some heatsink paste, and grab a reading right out at the tip of the tool. So just for comparison, and Dan Bentler and I thought that would be a fun test. So any of you EDM guys out there, if you want to get involved, shoot me an email, and I'd like to see about getting a hole through a piece of high-speed steel. All right, next up, we're going to visit a job site, and this is first going to be a shout out to my buddies over at DCS, which is Dust Collector Services, and they're doing some dust collectors. I'm doing some spray booth work. We're all coming together on a job out down in Murrieta. But let's go visit the dust collector, the ductwork's installed, the dust collector is in and on skids. We're waiting on concrete for a concrete pad to put the dust collector in. But let's go visit that job site and look at a woodchuck shop. Here we are at a Barzy job site down in beautiful Murrieta, California. This is a relocate. This is their air compressor, Atlas Copco, big rotary screw, nice unit. Electronic touchpad, refrigerated air dryer. It's a relocate. Dust collector is new. There and there. That's our friends over at Torrit Donaldson. But nice dust collector. A relocate on the air receiver tank. And there's the rest of their dust collector. That's actually the bottom right there, and this is the stand. And I'll let you take a peek inside the building at the dust collector in here. And some of the features of a low pressure system. Let the camera kind of focus here. This is a low pressure drop system. They're using low pressure Ys, long swept 90s. And this is a pickup point. And this is where it's going to get attached to the customer's equipment. Actually, this one's already going into one of his machines. This is a sweep up. And all that is a little manual thing that you can just kick it with your foot, open that door, and sweep your sawdust at the end of the day into it, and it sucks it into the dust collector. And just kick that down, and that shares a drop with one of the low pressure Ys. And they've got the blast gates on them, the typical duct gates, just the little cheapies, not the automatics, just a manual gate on all the pickup points. But those little sweep ups are cool because you can just bolt them right to the floor, and it gives your duct somewhere to attach. And then they all go into a common manifold with progressively bigger duct, and it's all engineered for pressure drop. And it keeps getting bigger and bigger till it heads out through the wall over there. Right there's the wall penetration, and we're gonna have the dust collector outside over there. And there we're already hooked up to one of the customer's machines there. And we got another hard pipe going into this, whatever the hell this is. This is a woodchuck place. I know not. All right, I just thought I'd show you around some of the dust collector stuff. And we're back. Now that's a pretty nice dust collector system. I'm sure all you woodchucks would agree. You just love to have that. So these guys are a production cabinet type of shop. So this is going to work out well for them. Next up, we're going to go visit the same job site, and we're doing some work in the paint department. They bought an automotive style spray booth for painting cabinets, which I thought was odd, and they bought a very nice booth too. So the boys finished up the mechanical this last week here, and let's go visit that and take a look at it. Okay, it looks like the boys finished up the mechanical this week, which was actually pretty extensive, getting these ducts put in. They got a little foil paper to staple back up, some duct hangers to put in, and then we can start some lighting and some of the wiring on this thing. Another downdraft, automotive size. This one is powder coated, so it's kind of a nice booth. I'm going to step back here and let you take a look at the whole thing. Floor to ceiling. And we're back. And next up is we had to punch some holes in just some little clips that came in that usually come pre-punched for us, and it's just a pilot hole for a self-drilling screw. But I called and complained to the manufacturer. I said, what's the matter, did your punch press break? They go, oh, we can't stop from snapping dies. So I had to use my own little shop-made punch press. Back, and yeah, so that was my way of complaining to the manufacturer. You know who you are. All right, get your punch press fixed. Next up, we've got our upcoming jobs. As long as we're talking about work, we're off of the Metro job temporarily. We're waiting on fire sprinklers and some other trades to finish up their work. Airlines are still on their way over to that side of the building. The outside of the building needed to be sheeted. It still didn't have the final sheeting on it. The heaters, we can't put the heaters in until the walls are sheeted. So yeah, there was still quite a bit of other trades we were waiting on. So we're off of that. But next year coming up, we're going to be back at the MTA job. Also is West Coast Customs still coming up. They kind of switched a few things around. They're still planning, and they switched the equipment around a little bit, and we're still working on hammering out some details, but that is still coming up for next year. Also upcoming for next year is a new square kit. This contains 2 pair of the large. It'd be a 9045 and a 6030 with a scribe, or a place for your scribe. I still haven't decided whether I'm going to whether I'm going to buy a scribe, make a scribe and stick it in there, or just leave a blank hole for you to put your favorite scribe in. Don't know. I'd be interested in knowing what you think. Obviously, if I go out and buy some or make some, the price goes up. If you just want a hole in it, I don't see a price increase in the box. You know, it's just an extra couple minutes of machining just to cut that groove. It's no big deal. But if you've got an opinion on it, I'd like to hear it. Stick it in the comments. Next up is my new Synchrowave. I've got it dialed in where I'm happy with it. I did a little bit of aluminum welding, and it turned out good. I'm real happy with the arc control on it. Here's a photograph of my latest aluminum. And back. So yeah, the arc control on that Synchrowave is awesome. I just really do enjoy that, the way that thing works. All right, next up is I've got a few tips for you guys, and the first one is about your toolbox organization and making the most of your available space. So let's go take a peek at that. Hey guys, I wanted to talk about tool organization a little bit, and I got something I'm going to share with you. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have a drawer that probably looks like this, which is just one big drawer, no real divisions. And you end up with all of these little boxes and stuff with junk in them, or pie pans, or that's like a meatloaf pan there. Hey, that'd be good for a meatloaf episode. That's a pretty good mix there. That came out of someone's toolbox drawer, or a meatloaf pan. But then you end up with all this tooling that just ends up getting just mixed together in just a basic cluster. So I'd like to present an alternative. All right, so this is what I found at This is actually an office supply store. It's called Made Smart. M-A-D-E, Smart. And they're just little divider drawers for offices, but these are nice little trays. What's kind of cool about them, they've got these catches right here, so they all just kind of snap together. And, you know, just so they don't get all separated and funky inside your toolbox. You know, you can even snap these on off to the side, these little ones. So you say you had some little custom ground tool bits or whatever, you could snap these off and kind of custom tailor them to your box and put them in kind of any direction you want. So that's pretty neat. Let's see if we can do something there. Yeah, see, that'll fit in like that. We'll snap in like that. This guy would go like this. So yeah, now we've got one big tray that can go in our toolbox. And you know, if you want to commit to this, I don't see the problem with flipping this over and running a hot glue gun in between all the seams and making it kind of semi-permanent. But that would make a nice little divider for your toolbox. As long as your drawers do not exceed, these are about 1 7/8, so you know, they'd fit in a 2-inch drawer nicely. But this is just what I found at one of my local office supply stores. So I think that's going to make a pretty good divider for a toolbox tray. If they work out, I'm going to buy some more. Okay, and just with a little bit of work, we're getting better, but I came to the realization that I need more. Because that over there didn't get anything done to it. See, I got the little ones are good for little bits and threading stuff and little tiny tool bits that you grind and, you know, keep for whatever. These are all little tool bits that I use, you know, for making various shapes. That must have been a plastic tool there. But yeah, the little bins are nice for the little tiny stuff that we collect. But I got all my carbide there. I got 1/2 and 3/8 there. All my miniatures in there. Some new old stock and some of the specialty cutter tools back in there. But yeah, you can really fill them out quick. And back. My next tip is going to be for, and I don't know, this probably happens to you all the time. It happens to me constantly. I get something chucked up in the 3-jaw and you know, get it all set up, and I'm making cuts and I'm working on a piece, and either a hot job comes in, or I got to switch out to a call-it rig or a 4-jaw or a different chuck, or just to do something else, and maybe I'm waiting on tooling or something for the part that's in the lathe at the time. So what do you do? Take a look. Hey guys, now I don't know whether this kind of stuff happens to you, but it happens to me all the time. You get something in the 3-jaw, you get a cut on it, and you know it's running true to the machine, and you've got other stuff to do on it still, and then you get held up because of a tool, because of whatever, and you can't finish, or something else comes in. This is the case here. Now I don't want to have to try to maybe put this in the 4-jaw and redo it, whatever. 3-jaws are notorious for not running true, but my part is true because I'm chucked up and I haven't removed it from the machine. And you know, but maybe we need a call-it rig. So let's show you what we do for that. And this might be obvious, but some of you may not know it. But we're going to take this and switch to a call-it, and we're not going to disturb this connection here. And this is a pretty simple tip. I use rubber mats for doing chuck changeouts, and sometimes if I'm grinding or doing something nasty on the lathe, I'll just throw this rubber mat down. Lock your spindle. leave the part in the chuck. Don't even take it out. Just leave it in there, switch out to whatever tooling you need, and when you put it back in, it's going to be right back where it was. The index on your spindle and your key, or if you've got a threaded spindle, whatever, you're going to hit every time, and it's always going to be back where you left it. You got to make sure this doesn't get bumped or hit, you know, so put it on the bench somewhere safe, out of your way. You know, and then now you're free to put in a collet rig. I've got a nose protector. You put a nose protector on the sucker. Those don't need to be monster tight, just so they don't come loose. And then your collet adapter. And you know, you're off to the races. Now you can do a little collet work. And you know, always go back to your original work with no problems. So there you go. And we're back. So yeah, don't take the part out of the chuck. Just leave it in the chuck, set it to the side where it won't get bumped around, and when you put it back, it'll be right back where you were before. Maybe obvious to some of you guys, but some of you didn't know that. Next up is our old friend shrink wrap that you guys know I love around the shop. Let's go take a look at what I do with that. Hey guys, just thought I'd give you a quick tip on our good old friend Mean Green, the Anchor Lube G771. This happened to me the other day. I got my bowl filled and took an emergency service call, and I had to get out of here. And how the hell do we get this back in here? Do I try to suck that up or what? Well, you know who came to the rescue? Well, it's our old friend Mr. Shrink Wrap. And you know what? I just laid a brush kind of across the puddle so the shrink wrap wouldn't go down in the Anchor Lube, and there, I was off to the races. And I came back and actually used that Anchor Lube 2 days later, and it was just fine. And back. So our old friend shrink wrap makes its appearance again. It's really handy to have around. Next up is my Christmas present to all you guys. Some of you guys have seen these little decimal equivalent charts have been floating around. I've been mailing them out to some of my YouTube buds, and anyone that takes delivery on squares or whatever gets one of these. I've got the small toolbox version, and I've got a larger wall version. On the larger version, there is a flow chart on the back, which is just kind of a comic thing. It's a YouTube flow chart. I'm not gonna. I'll let most of it be a surprise. But what I am doing for you guys, I am gonna upload both of these, this side and this side, in this size, on Dropbox. So you can go grab these on Dropbox. You can grab this on Dropbox in this full size, and then I've got this one that's already shrunk down, and this actually fits. It'll print out 2 per sheet in a landscape. So if you want these for your toolbox, you can get those. These are printed on a heavy cardstock and then laminated. So I make them so that your greasy, nasty fingerprints don't mess them up. But and you can do that too. It's not hard to do. So anyways, Merry Christmas everyone. That's all yours from me. Next up, past videos. Wire connections were one of my first ones, and that video got a lot of traffic, and a lot of people made some really good comments, and there's some good discussions in there about the wire connections, and I appreciate that, everyone. And you know, we had a lot of territory to cover over wire connections, and then you know, some of the conversations started branching out into conduit methods and then different types of wiring connections that are maybe used across the world. They were saying, oh, over in Germany we have to use positive pressure type devices, which are the little spring-loaded ones that grab a hold of the wire, and you know, things like that. And I've used those, and the failure rate has been kind of high on the pressure type devices. Perfect example is duplex receptacles that have the push to connect, quick connects on the back, you know, and we've seen tons of those things fail. Those little constant pressure devices don't like heat cycling. When they get hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, I think that little piece of spring steel in there anneals, and it's no longer a constant pressure device. It is now a no pressure device, and the wiring connection fails. But we've seen some discoloration and some annealing in those little springs. Next one was the contactors and starters, and I actually shot a little more video. I still had the bench set up and all the starters and everything were out on the bench, and I shot a little more video on that. Let's cut to that real quick and see what I'm doing. Hey guys, I had an interesting comment on the channel the other day. Someone asked, what's the difference between a contactor and a motor starter? Now, this is a contactor. That's all this does is make contact. It doesn't offer any running protection for the motor. This is an overload block. When these two are put together, the combination becomes a motor starter. And this is a complete motor package. Overload block, contactor equals motor starter. All right, and they come pre-packaged. This is a motor starter setup here. Contactor up here on top, overload block with running protection, auxiliary contact built in. All right, so that's the difference between a contactor and a motor starter. Okay, and we're back, and I hope that helps you tell the difference between a contactor and a motor starter or a starter. Next up, we're still talking about past videos. The Warner carts got delivered. I did James Bond a small photograph. If you tell anyone, I'll deny it. But here's a photograph of the Warner carts over in the Warner Brothers art department. And back. And last up is a Bosch tool that I had sent in for a repair. And I'm going to show you, I got it back from Bosch, and the people at Bosch treated me really well. Let's go take a look at that tool as it came back from Bosch. Some interesting packaging came in, and I looked at the label. It said it was from the Robert Bosch Tool Corporation, and I had sent in a tool to be repaired. It was still under warranty, and it just had a small problem, and it looked to me like it was an easy fix. Now, the original case was just this. It's just a soft case. You know, it's just a nice little soft case that the tool actually was originally purchased in. And all I sent back was the raw tool. Kept the case, kept the strap, kept all the accessories. And in this gigantic box, you know, why would they, something that size, why would they put it in something like this? So I got a big giant bag of air, which was kind of funny. So I got a free pillow. And this is what they sent me back. And even then, it really didn't need to be in that big of a box. But I sent back a GPL 5 self-leveling laser. And here, let me get this thing out. And I've never seen this type of case before. It's actually kind of a nice case, and it's even here. Why would they need this big of a case for this? You know. But let's take a look at it. And there's some empty spots in it. This is the Bosch GPL 5. This is a 5 laser leveler. I've been using the GPL 3s for a plumb bob for an awfully long time, but I got the 5 just for doing conveyor layouts and anything that needs to be squared. So this is kind of a nice protective case, and this can bang around in the toolbox pretty well. I guess I could sneak my old one in here and just leave it in here, but there's room for tons of other stuff. I don't know what these other slots are for. But let's take a look at the GPL5 and see what it does. And the people over at Bosch treated me really well. You know, I called, and what was wrong with my old one is there's a little glass lens for the laser right here, and there was a small crack across it. And all the other laser beams that shoot out all the different directions, there's one in the bottom, and one in the face, and one in the sides. And you know, all the glass lenses were in fine condition, and they all worked fine except for the top one. The top one had that little crack almost right where the beam shot out, and it would bend refract the beam or whatever, and I was getting some funny vertical readings. Let's look at what the GPL5 does. Fire this thing up. Now, you probably can't see what's going on. I can. There's a laser dot right here at the tip of my finger, and that's going to correspond with the laser dot here at the tip of my finger. Hopefully you can see that. So it's got it shoots a beam vertically, and where you see this dot on the table, I've got a beam coming out this way and this way. See the two here on my hand, this one on my hand here, and this one on my hand here. So those two beams are 90 degrees apart. It's got a third one coming out this way. So it's horizontally, it's a T. Vertically, it's got two. So if I wanted to set up for a conveyor, say I wanted to start in the corner, and I'd establish a corner, I'd mount that on a camera tripod. It's got a 1/4-20 mount at the bottom, and I want to start off right here in the corner. I'd set my laser as so I get my little laser dot here in the corner, and then I'd turn my level around until I'm got a good beam here and a good beam here, and I keep moving this around until I'm parallel with my primary reference surface, and then I can lay out this direction here with a beam, or if I've got I need to parallel it on this side, I'd get this beam parallel to my reference, and then I can use this for reference going this way. But and that's good for laying out conveyors and making nice 90-degree turns. And the plumb bob feature is actually secondary. I've got the GPL3 is primarily just a plumb bob. The GPL5 will also do square. And what's nice about this is it is self-leveling. So there's a little pendulum in there where that guy just swings around. And I've checked these things over 50, 60 feet, and they're hyper accurate. They're within about 1/8 of an inch over 50 feet. So they're pretty darn accurate. And what's neat about them is when we turn off here, that actually locks the pendulum. So that pendulum's not sitting there banging around in your toolbox. So it's pretty much a construction grade. It's got a rubber jacket around it, magnetic base here and here. So it sticks down to anything magnetic fairly well. You can hang it out the side of the table or the side of something, or a pipe or whatever that's metallic. You don't have to worry about it falling over. So it's a good little tool. And it's got this interesting swing base where it kind of swings around and locks. But that's the Bosch GPL5. Amazon and looking around, you can probably pick one up for about $100. If you're going to go to Depot or any of the box stores, they're going to ding you for almost a couple $100. So there's savings to be had. You can find a good price on them if you just look around. 2-year warranty, and the people at Bosch really took good care of me. All right, and we're back. And yeah, I've been really pleased with the 3 laser, the GL3, and this GL5 has been equally impressive for a little more critical layouts and some other things I do. So yeah, highly recommended. That's the end of this week update number 21. I would like to wish every one of you a Merry Christmas and a healthy and prosperous New Year, and look forward to seeing you guys in the new year on YouTube. All right, thanks for watching, everybody.